Hey there. After seeing some of the comments on this channel, I want to take just a minute to step aside from the Arizona ESA program and talk to you about your kids. And probably you, if you're like most people in America. Because one of my passions, one of the things I love doing is finding people's giftings and aligning them with things that provide value in the world, whether it would be a career, entrepreneurship, freelancing. There's so many doors that we can walk through nowadays because when I do that, I find people just are full of joy and super happy. So anyway, this is going to be a multi-part video. I can already tell you. This first part is going to be based on this book, Good to Great, just a flyby concept from it that will change your life if you only embrace this one concept, although there's more. It's called the Hedgehog concept. So in here, it compares two different animals, a fox and a hedgehog. A fox is very diverse. It's super gifted in a lot of things. It's a predator, right? It's got teeth and claws, it's fast, it's cunning, it's smart, it can strategize and try to get its prey. Whereas the hedgehog, it doesn't do much at all. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these things. I've seen, someone brought one to my son's baseball game. It literally is the cutest thing in the world and just lumbers along slowly, surely. And it sees the fox, and every single time it's like, rolls its eyes, and it's like, this again, it does one thing, and one thing really well. When it's scared, it goes, whoop, and curls up into a little ball, and all the little spikes come across, and the fox loses every single time. It pokes its nose. It can't get to it, right? The hedgehog always wins, and this book compares, like this is, it's talking about businesses, good to great businesses, and I'm telling you from your kids and your perspective, you can move from a good to a great person if you can find the intersection of three things. Take a look at this. To find your hedgehog, I'm going to throw out a Venn diagram. There's a fun word you probably haven't heard in a while, right? Top one is, what can you be best in the world at doing? I know right now you're like, if I knew that, I probably wouldn't need this video. I'll explain that in just a second, right? Second one is, what can you make money at? What drives your economic engine? The third one is, what can you feel passionate about? Which I think today's world is probably used that wrongly in so many different ways. So you might not, I think it's intimidating when you're trying to think of like, what's my hedgehog skill? What can I be best in the world at? Because people like Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Michael Jordan all kind of find these epic people that are best in the world. Well, it's not best in the world at this epic public skill. You might be best in the world at something very small. But if you can use that small thing to, again, make money and be passionate about it, like this intersection, right there, that is the den of the hedgehog. And that is where you will find a whole bunch of joy, and you will actually look forward to work in life. And I'll use myself as an example, and then in the future videos, I'm gonna take each one of those circles and break them down. Like, how do you do that, right? So using myself as an example, and this is why I'm recording this video, is I want you to help your kids learn this early on, because whether you homeschool, public school, private school, it doesn't matter. None of those things by themselves often tell you how to prepare your kids for the world in such a way that they love it, right? That they're using their giftings that God gave them. So it'll save them decades of life, if not their entire life, right? So for me, I'll use myself as an example here. I stumbled into that little hedgehog den when I was 19 years old. I was sitting in an assembly line building computers at a place called Microwage. And they sent me to a technology certification class, actually by mistake. I wasn't supposed to go. I just showed up with the wrong group, and they're like, oh, you're supposed to be in that building. I'm like, okay. And I wandered over there, and I sat through a class. And I was like, wow. There's like so much. I was going to Arizona State University at the time. I was like, there's so much in the technology world I didn't even know existed. And I sat there and I was watching the guy teaching it, and I'm like, man, that'd be awesome to be that guy. Not because I thought I would like teaching, because I was like, I bet you he remembers this stuff cold. Like, he's not even looking at the book. He just talks about it all the time. So my thought is knowledge is power, and so I would just know that stuff. So long story short, I ended up stepping into the world of instruction, and I can record a whole long video on that. But what I found at the end of the day, it wasn't so much that I liked teaching. I really like taking complex things, like when I read a book and I'm like, ooh, there's a whole book. I can explain this whole book to you in 8 minutes, probably as long as this. I love taking complex things and breaking it down and making it very simple. That's it. So the reason I give that example to you is you're like, well, that's kind of lame. It really is. Like, I'm like, well, like people are like, wow, you're really smart. I'm like, actually, I'm not really smart. I don't really figure out a lot of things. I'm really not that funny. I'm not like my gifting really is like, I just love taking something really complex and be like, there's just an easier way to say that. That's what I do. And I say that because I want to broaden your mind, because you don't have to be Elon Musk to figure out what you're best in the world at, right? So when it comes to passion, I think it comes across, right? I would do this for free, and I do this for free. This is free. The whole Arizona ESA channel, this education corner I create, I'm like, I just want to help people because it's fun for me and I think helpful for you, right? This is the kind of thing, when you figure this out, you're like, I would do this for free. You'll say things like, this is just what I'm built to do. Some of the best days I have is when I'm just talking to myself or talking to a crowd of people. I've presented in conference rooms and things like that. It's great. I just love it. I'm like, this is the best. Right? And then lastly, I can make money at this. And the funny thing is, when it comes to like this skill I have of taking complex things and explaining it really simply, I do a lot of technology training, but I'm talking to you right now about a book that has nothing to do with technology and hedgehogs and everything else. I'm like, I could be talking about an air condition and I'd still love talking to you, because I'm like, bet you not many people know how an air condition works. I would love to break that down in a simple way, right? So when I take that skill, I can find myself in many different situations and apply it. So I tell you that story, not at all to say, oh, see, look at me. I'm telling you, like, everybody's got their thing. And that's going to be what I make some of the additional videos on, is how do you find that thing? Now, last thing I'll say. This book mentions for a business to find its hedgehog, it takes on average 4 years. I don't think it takes individuals that long, but it could. I want to make sure that you understand this is a journey, and I want to talk to you in the future videos about how to embark your kids on that journey, because here's what happens if you don't. And I've seen this so often, and it breaks my heart because people find out things that they're good at, and that's the whole. Like, if I were to write a subtitle for this book that's not on there, I would say, why competence is the enemy of excellence. People find things that they're good at, they're competent at, right? They're like, I can do that, right? And then they find a career that uses that, and they're like, I just don't like it. But they do it year after year, and they progress in salary because they're good at it, but they just don't love it. And then they find themselves late in life like, I just wish I could make a change, but now they're making so much money. To make a change, right? You often have to go backwards before you can go forwards. You have to grow that skill that you're awesome at, that you're best at in the world, before you can start making a lot more money at it, right? And so you have people, I always call it the golden handcuffs. You have people tied with those golden handcuffs where they're like, man, if I could leave this, I would, but now I'm stuck. Truth be told, you're not stuck. It's just you have to count the cost in order to go after that little hedgehog, right? More on that to come. For now, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.